Welcome to this introduction to ISO 14001:2015, the standard for environmental management system. Hi, my name is Miriam Boudreaux and I'm with Mireaux Management Solutions. I hope that this video will help you understand better what ISO 14001 is all about. ISO 14001 is the leading international standard for environmental management, helping organizations reduce environmental impact, meet compliance, and drive sustainable growth. Imagine you're managing a large campground in a national park. If there are no rules for waste disposal, fire control, or wildlife protection, the ecosystem will quickly fall into disarray. ISO 14000 is like the rule book that helps protect and preserve the environment while still allowing human activity to thrive responsibly. If you just started your journey in ISO 14001, you might not know how old this standard is. The original standard was published in 1996, following the publication of the ISO 9000 series of standards, which happened in 1987. A minor revision for ISO 14001 happened in 2004, which notably introduced the requirement for evaluation of compliance, which we will look in a minute. The latest major revision of the standard was in 2015, which was to help it align with the 10-clause high-level structure, introducing also the concept of a life cycle perspective and also emphasizing top management involvement. If you want to know more about the high-level structure or common framework, be sure to watch our video because that gives you a good perspective of all the standards and how they align with each other. ISO standards are typically reviewed every 5 years, so future revisions are probably a possibility very soon. The scope and purpose of ISO 14001:2015 are to specify requirements for an EMS or environmental management system that an organization can use to enhance its environmental performance. This includes protecting the environment by preventing or mitigating adverse environmental impacts, mitigating potential adverse effects of environmental conditions on the organization, and fulfilling compliance obligations. So basically a company, if you want to certify to these standards, there's a lot for you, not only just to comply with requirements, regulatory or statutory requirements, but also your own job towards the environment. The structure of ISO 14001:2015, like other modern ISO management system standard, is based on the common framework, as mentioned before. This framework includes 10 main clauses: scope, normative references, terms and definition, context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operations, performance evaluation, and improvement. It is important to know that only clauses 4 through 10 are auditable. Let's go through the key requirements for ISO 14001 in clause 4. Context of the organization. This focuses on understanding the organization. This is like taking a step back to look at the big picture. Before you can manage your environmental impact, you need to understand what your organization does, where it operates, and who is affected. Are you near a river? Do you produce emissions? That's what understanding your context means. Next is the need to understand who your interested parties are and what do they care about. And why do they care about you and your performance? Are there local communities, regulators, or investors who care about your environmental footprint? Perhaps they could be affected, and therefore your organization's performance is at stake. Understanding your context helps you build a system that actually fits your risk and responsibilities and is not just something generic. Now, clause 5, leadership, isn't just about approving policies. It's about setting the example. In this clause, top management is expected to take real ownership of the environmental management system. That means creating an environmental policy that reflects what the organization believes in, and making sure the goals are supported with resource and action. Basically, don't tell me this is the policy and the goals, but then don't give me the resources or don't allow me to take time towards those goals. When leadership takes environmental responsibility seriously, everyone else will follow. It's a difference between just checking a box, really, and creating an environmental culture. So if you are part of top management, then think of it as something that you are going to have to live through it or live it, something that you're going to also have to participate besides just handing it to somebody to do it. ISO 14001 clauses 6 through 10 are clear, practical, and built for the real world, actually. ISO 14001 isn't just about being green, it's about building environmental management systems that fit into your daily operation and help you reduce risk and stay compliant and improve over time. Clause 6 through 10 focus on how you plan, how you support, execute, evaluate, and improve your environmental efforts. Let's walk through each of these clauses with simple, relatable examples and show you how a smart system like Web QMS may be able to help you comply with these requirements a little bit easier. Clause 6 planning is about being proactive. Instead of waiting for something to go wrong, you identify your environmental risk and opportunities and goals up front and make it a plan. So 6.1, actions to address risk and opportunities. This is where you need to think ahead. What could negatively impact the environment based on what we do? That's what you need to ask yourself. And what opportunities could make things better? For example, if you store fuel on site, that's a potential spill risk. Planning for it may mean installing spill kits, training your staff, and regularly inspecting the tanks, right? A potential opportunity? Maybe you switch to electric vehicles to reduce emissions. So you have to go through the risk assessment process, analyze your risk, and then put the controls in order to minimize, mitigate, or really eliminate those risks. And this is where the risk management app in Web QMS may help you. Then you have the requirement of environmental aspects. These are things that you do that interact with the environment, like how much water you use, the chemicals you handle, or the waste you generate. Let's say your facility uses a parts washer that releases fumes. That's an aspect, and it should be evaluated for its environmental impact. Some impacts will need tight controls, others may just need monitoring. Compliance obligations. Now, 613 is the compliance obligations requirements. You are expected to know which environmental laws, permits, or industry regulations apply to your organization and stay current on them. That might mean, for example, wastewater discharge permits, air quality limits, or federal reporting deadlines. These aren't optional. You are on the hook to meet them. Now, 6.2 is about environmental objectives and planning to achieve them. So once you understand your impacts and your obligations, then you're expected to set goals to improve them. These objectives should be measurable, realistic, and reviewed regularly. For example, reduce hazardous waste by 20% this year. This is a good objective. The key is having a plan, not just the goal. So you also will need to know who's responsible, what the steps are, and how you'll track progress. In Web QMS, you can set your objectives inside the Objectives app and assign people to put the information there so that you can look over time how you are doing and whether you are achieving your goals. Clause 7, support. This clause is about giving your EMS the resources, training, and tooling needs to actually work. So it starts with 7.1, resources. You can't run a system with good intentions alone. You actually need people, infrastructure, technology, and time, right? So that includes everything from hiring qualified staff to maintaining equipment that prevents leaks or emissions. So having a good training program like the LMS, using the LMS app on Web QMS will help you, but also you have to have good job descriptions and a good process to hire people. Also, in order to maintain your equipment, which this is big on ISO 9001, but in this case, you still need to try to have equipment working in optimal conditions, right? Otherwise, you might be using too many resources or actually emitting things in the environment that you shouldn't. And so for that case, having your asset management app with your equipment on it will be good to track, making sure preventive maintenance and repairs are all done on time. The other requirement here is 7.2 competence and awareness. It's not enough to assign tasks. People need to be trained and capable of doing them right. And beyond that, they need to be aware of how their actions affect the environment. And this is very important. So for example, if someone works near hazardous materials, they should know how to handle a spill and why it matters. So awareness is going to build ownership. So with Web QMS, you can deliver and track this training using the Learning Management System or LMS app. So you will know who completed what training, when, and whether refreshers are due as well. 7.5 is about documented information. This is about having the right procedures, policies, and records in place and keeping them controlled. You need to make sure everyone is working off the latest version of your spills response procedure or the chemical handling checklist, right? Outdated documents can lead to serious mistakes. People think of procedures and policies as something you need maybe if you're certified into ISO 9001, but you also need it here because you need to have certain procedures, certain lists, certain policies that people can actually follow. You may not have procedures on how to build the product, but you're certainly going to have procedures on how to respond to an environmental emergency like a spill or a fire. The document control app of Web QMS can definitely help you track the versions, the approvals, user access, so that people can see what they need to see when they want to see it and at the place of where they are working. And so nothing will get lost in email threads or outdated folders. This is Clause A operation is all about the operation. This is time to execute your plans. Clause A ensures that you're operating in a way that controls your impacts and that you're ready for emergencies. So we have the requirement of emergency preparedness and response. Accidents happen even with good planning. So this clause requires you to prepare for environmental emergencies like chemical spills, fires, or hazardous waste releases. That means having plans, training staff, conducting drills, and updating procedures when things change. So if you experience an actual emergency or near miss, Web QMS can help you log that in the Incidents app, where you can trigger investigation, assign a corrective action to prevent recurrence. Now, Clause 9, Performance Evaluation. Here is where you check if your EMS or environmental management system is doing what it's supposed to do. Are you meeting your obligations? Are you meeting your objectives? And are you improving over time? So, under evaluation and compliance, 9.1.2, this means regularly reviewing whether you're meeting your legal and other environmental requirements, not just once a year, but on an ongoing basis. 9.2 internal audits help you assess whether your system is being followed and whether it's effective. If people are deviating, they need to know so that they can go back to the path of your processes and procedures and policies that you have put in place. It is not about catching people doing something wrong, but it's about catching system weaknesses that allow for that before they really cause issues. Here's where Web QMS Audits app can help you plan your audits, assign checklists, log the findings, and track corrective actions all the way to closure. Next, we have 9.3 Management Review. Top management must regularly review your environmental management systems performance using real data, like the audit results, the objectives, the incidents, and feedback. So this keeps the system aligned with the business goals and help drive change where needed. This helps top management know what's happening with the EMS so they can make decisions on whether you need more tools or you need more people or what is needed in order for the environmental management system to achieve the intended purpose. The Management Review app on Web QMS could definitely help you with this requirement. Clause 10, improvement. This is about fixing what's broken and continually getting better. Even if nothing is obviously wrong, we start with nonconformity and corrective action. If something doesn't go as planned, like an oil spill or a missed inspection, you need to figure it out why it happened and make sure it doesn't happen again. Like we mentioned before, you can log that into your incidents app, or you could also log it as a corrective action. If you run into any problems within your environmental management system, you can use the CIP application to enter any opportunities for improvement, as well as any issues that already happen and require root cause analysis and corrective action. Next, we have 10.3, continual improvement. Improvement doesn't just come from problems, it can come from suggestions, observations, innovations, or changes in your operations. Let's say a technician finds a more efficient way to filter wastewater. That's an opportunity to improve. Documenting this insight is where real growth happens. Sometimes people tell me, well, we don't have anything. When we ask, well, do you have any opportunities? No, we don't have anything. And that usually tells me either you really have nothing to improve because you are perfect, or either people don't know the system to funnel these improvements, and so maybe improvements or problems are not being funneled through your system because people don't know it. And most than likely, people are not using the system that you put in place, if you really have one anyway. So improvement is definitely needed in your environmental management system. ISO 14001 don't just really tell you what to do, they really help you build a mindset of responsibility and continual improvement within and for the environment. Organizations can leverage an environmental management system to prevent adverse environmental impacts and enhance beneficial ones. And top management must integrate these environmental management principles into the business processes and the strategic direction. Successful implementation can also assure that interested parties that an effective EMS is in place. However, the standard itself doesn't guarantee optimal environmental outcomes, as its application can differ based on your organization's context, compliance obligation, and your own environmental goals. But ISO 14001 should help you not only reduce your environmental impact, but also build a reputation for sustainability and compliance, making it easier to meet regulatory expectations and earn stakeholders' trust.